Hey heroes, this is your resident string player Darrian.
This is Angela, your certified brass player.
And today with us we have
your approved percussionist, Darci Wright.
And this is Hero Talk, where we talk about real life
and real women in music.
Okay, let's get started.
Hey Darci.
Hey. We're so excited to have you here with us today.
I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited.
No, you're good. You're good. But we're so excited to have you here. And for anyone listening, today we have our guest co-host, Darci, with us. She's a percussionist at FSU, finishing your master's, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, she's awesome. I've played with her before. And what?
I said thank you.
Awesome percussionist.
Oh, yeah.
And so much fun to work with. But she's here to talk to us about a composer that you chose for class. I don't know if you guys remember all the way back to episode 2 where we interviewed Dr. Rachel Lumsden. But she has a class that's called Theory Analysis of Works by Female Composers, correct?
Analysis of Masterworks by Women in Music, or something like that. Something with all those words jumbled together.
Gotta check Canvas.
Essentially, it's a theory class where they analyze works by female composers.
Yes.
And for her final, for Rachel's final in the class, everyone has to pick a female composer, analyze a piece of music by them, and perform it. And she gave her class the opportunity to come on the podcast and talk about their composer, educate us, educate y'all about a composer that we don't know about. So what's this composer that you wanted to share with all of us today?
So my composer that I chose is Alexis C. Lamb. She's a percussionist by heart, and she was born in 1993, so not that much older than us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Cool. What made you choose this composer?
So I didn't know about this composer before I knew about this piece that I decided to analyze, but the piece itself I found in my undergrad. My undergrad professor, Dr. Tommy Dobbs, he was very open to letting us play mostly whatever we wanted to, as long as it was appropriate for our skill set or whatever. So I was getting ready for my junior recital, and I was like, I want to play something that's crazy. So I was like, all right, what's a work by a female composer that has speaking in it? Because I was I did not say words. So I was like, I want to push myself a little bit.
Yeah.
And I found this piece, and I didn't know that there was a story behind it until this class, actually. And I told her that I wanted to do the yellow wallpaper, and she was like, oh, have you read the story? And I was like,
Rachel already knew of the work?
Yeah, it's based on a
it's creepy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's super creepy.
You should.
So you know it?
Yeah, I've heard about it before, and I've listened to it once, and then I forgot about it until Darci.
It's weird.
You guys always get the cool stuff.
Very interesting stuff.
I know we've talked about it. Y'all get the cool names for pieces, and I get to talk.
That should just inspire other composers to write like they would for percussionists, for a violinist or a trumpet player.
I'm sure there's a violinist out there there's this piece and I just don't know about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because we have a lot of music. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and you guys can talk. You can talk, but just not play at the same time.
That's true. Yeah. That'd be kind of whack. Yeah.
I will say talking and playing violin can get weird because it's just so close to your head. Yeah, because I've had to sing backup vocals and play violin before, when I've done studio work and gigs when I was living in Nashville, and I found it really difficult.
Yeah, it is really hard.
Not singing the pitch you're playing.
Yeah. Oh wow,
yes.
That is really difficult. That's crazy.
Yeah, now we got off topic again. But
yeah, could you tell us a little about the composer's background?
Yeah, so she was born. How far back do you want me to go?
As far as you want.
Born in Denver, Colorado.
Sweet.
Is that a good place to start?
That's great.
She currently lives in Michigan, but she earned she earned 2 bachelor's degrees of music and music education from Northern Illinois University. Illinois. Is it really?
I said Illinois before and I got laughed at,
yeah.
so don't do it.
All right, cool. All right. So she currently lives in Michigan, and let me back up more. She studied at Yale University. It was the teaching fellow for the Department of Music at Yale University.
Nice.
And I read that, I was like,
that's incredible. Yeah.
That's crazy. Went to Northern Illinois University, and is currently serving as a graduate instructor at the University of Michigan, as well as instructor. I'm going to botch this name. Yeah, I don't even know how to say it.
Pilisanti.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I don't know.
Whatever you said. It's a youth orchestra, and she runs her own private studio.
Oh, it starts with a Y?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me think it's silent.
YPS.
YPS.
Ypsilanti. Ypsilanti.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds good to me.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's awesome. I got to briefly meet her at the convention that we were just at PASIC in Indianapolis, and she's like a very down-to-earth person.
Did you tell her you were going to be talking about her?
Yeah, I was
Aw.
like, so I'm doing this project about the yellow wallpaper. She's like, dope, amazing. And I was like, thank you.
Tell
What
her
is it?
tell her to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, right?
Send
Because
her
we're
away.
totally talking about you
Yeah.
for like an hour.
I was like, please listen.
So she's currently a graduate student.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, so she's our age.
Yeah, I think she was a band director for like a few
Oh.
years in between
Mm-hmm.
her degrees. Pretty crazy.
Nice. How did you stumble upon like this piece? Because you knew about it before you did this project.
Yeah.
So did you just Google weird works for percussion? Like, how did you stumble upon it?
Weird works for percussion.
You never know. Sometimes you just have to go for
Okay.
Just way out there stuff.
just Google doesn't judge.
Oh, okay.
I think I literally just put like percussion solos in YouTube, and then I was like, okay, this is kind of dumb. So then I put like vibraphone solos because I didn't have any vibraphone parts or pieces lined up for my junior recital, and then I saw this one and I was like, this seems pretty crazy. And I did, because I was like, y'all, I was super crazy in my undergrad. Like, I slept in practice rooms.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't know this, but I slept in practice rooms.
Nice.
I took like 30-minute naps. Like, I didn't actually sleep. I was just on NAS like all the time, like the energy drink. And
Oh,
Chick-fil-A.
gosh.
That was my diet.
I was
like,
unhealthy
girl.
in my undergrad too.
yeah.
No,
Nas level though.
no one
Oh.
take
I
our
c-
no
coffee
one
level.
no one do what we did.
No, please don't. It's
Yeah,
not good.
I was
it was
like-
fun, but only for like 20 minutes a day.
Oh wow.
Like, that's it.
She has a percussion and trumpet piece, Darci.
You want it?
I feel like that's something I got to put
you
in my
are
chamber.
you are trying to
recital.
do.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
She has so many things. Like, whenever I looked at her website, I was like, she was writing for like small orchestras and all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. I was so surprised.
Yeah.
It's really, really
Have you
dope.
played another piece of hers?
No, but I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Listening to you talk about her sounds like she's gonna be around for a while, composing
Yeah.
some really cool stuff.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now you have another piece for your chamber recital.
Let's
Angela.
go.
So I'll be
Yes.
on it, and now you can be on
Yes.
it.
Sweet.
Recital part
I'll
2.
find a percussion, trumpet, and violin trio.
Sounds
Because
good.
Erica Wazen isn't enough.
Oh my gosh. Goodness.
So also, Dr. Lumsden wants us to ask us. She wanted us to have you tell us about some of the awards she's had.
Yeah, let me name off the many. Okay, so from her website, she developed the Creative Music Making Program for the Yale Music in Schools Initiative.
Do you know what that is?
I looked it up, but like I think it's just like a kinda
Yale
like
thing.
like a going out in the community and getting people involved.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Won the 2022 Presser Foundation Graduate Music Award.
No, that's a lot of money. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Tight. 2021 Charles Ives Scholarship from American Academy of Arts and Letters.
Love Charlie.
2018 ASCAP Foundation Morton Gold.
Gold.
Yeah. ASCAP Foundation Morton Gold
Okay,
Composer
I don't-
Award.
I didn't know how to say that. ASCAP?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a synonym for, or not synonym,
Acronym.
yes, thank you, for American
composers.
Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers.
And then she's had like a ton of her her pieces recorded on different albums and different like
Oh, Third Coast Percussion. Dang,
Yeah,
that's pretty
that-
big.
yeah, that's a huge one.
I don't know about them. What are they?
Third Coast Percussion is a chamber group that like solely does new music.
Nice.
They're really big in our field. Like everybody wants to like collaborate with them because it's just they went to school together and they were like, let's like play some fun music. And then they like got a huge studio and got a bunch of like instruments and stuff. And they started reaching out into high schools and they were like, if you can write, or not high schools, but like schools. And they were like, if you can write a piece, then we'll like bring you on and perform it with you. Like they're very about like bringing people in from the community and working with them on new music. They also just did sorry, I'm ranting.
No, go ahead.
No, go.
They just did a collaboration with a dance group. I don't remember the name of the dance group, but basically it's like this dance group is like making a story from the music that they're playing. And it's like an
Nice.
hour and a half long, like straight up movie, basically. Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
really cool.
Wow.
Like no talking, just music and dancing.
I feel mad I don't know this group.
Oh,
I'm
you
gonna have
should
to
know
look
them.
into them.
They're really
so
cool.
good.
Yeah, I have a feeling it'll be up my alley a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
So could you tell us a bit about her style and like what genre she would fall under?
This was a tricky one. I don't really, I mean, I guess like the new music genre, but because she writes for so many different groups and different people, it's kind of hard to like bring her into one,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
But the way that she writes is very like new music-y, but like in a very tasteful way, if that makes sense.
Has it tasteful?
Yeah, like not music like I'm gonna, pluck on a cactus for an hour.
Oh,
But like
Well, that's what came to your head? Pluck on a cactus.
yeah, that's what Dr. Park says all the time.
pluck on a cactus.
He's like, I'm gonna play a cactus and then I'm gonna blow on it, and that's my piece.
I love it. That's
Yeah.
classic.
So it's approachable for
Yeah.
for an average listener.
Yeah, it's like if I were a person that didn't know anything about music and I went to a concert of hers, I would just sit there and be like absorbed by like, look at all these cool sounds and like look at the way that it's like she brings back a theme but in a different way, stuff like that. It's very approachable is a good word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
And I also see here that she has a solo project that she's working on. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so she I think it was like the way that she explained it on her website was like she had like a, I don't know, what's the word, like writer's block kind of situation. So she was like, I'm going to go like way out there and do the Concord of Discord, which is just pieces for percussion and electronics and spoken word, sorry. And it's just really getting her out there. It's like, not extra long, but like longer pieces than what she's written before. And the electronics like allows her to put different instruments in there and make them sound different and unique from what they usually do.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just
That
like
overlap with like electric and
yeah. Just like
I feel like I've noticed a trend where more composers are starting to
Include
experiment with electronic instruments.
So you're doing your project on The Yellow Wallpaper by Alexis Lamb.
yes.
Very nice. Can you tell us like a brief summary of the piece?
So the piece is is based off of a short story by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I've always botched that name. I don't know why. But basically, it is a narrative analysis. So what Alexis has done is like take the story from Charlotte and put it into a piece and try to like portray her emotions and like what's going on physically. So there is not really extended vibraphone techniques, but just kind of like crazy vibraphone techniques. There we use like the rail for door knocks and stuff. Like somebody's knocking on the door. She used spoken word. Crazy harmonies and rhythmic passages. So
And for like our non-percussion majors, what's the rail?
the rail, that's a good question. So the rail is what the like actual vibraphone keys sit on. So it's just like for our vibraphone, it's wood. Some of them are metal. Yeah, it just holds the keys up.
So it's like the frame.
Yeah, the frame.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my first thought was like,
What
I want to make sure. I need to make sure I'm thinking
Oh, boy.
correctly what the rail is.
Yeah.
I was right, but
Yeah,
I was
nice.
concerned.
What is that?
Could you tell us about The Yellow Wallpaper, like the actual story?
It's nuts. Yeah, so basically there's a unnamed narrator who has just given birth, and she has like a nervous condition. It's based in like the 1890s, I believe. Late 1800s. So she has this nervous condition and like basically postpartum depression, but her husband is a physician, so he thinks that like the best cure for her is a rest cure. So he takes her to like this country estate that he's basically rented for the summer, and puts her in isolation. So they get to this huge mansion, and she's like, oh, like look at the garden, like look at like the nice furniture or whatever. He's like, no, you're gonna be up in the nursery, the old nursery, with this ugly yellow wallpaper and barred windows. She's
Barred
like,
windows.
yeah, barred windows.
Is this a true story?
No. I
Okay.
hope not.
Could
I hope
be.
not, yeah.
I was like, this sounds like it's gonna get dark.
Yeah,
It does get dark.
It does get dark. It's crazy. So she's in the nursery, and she's like, man, I wish I could go outside, but obviously she can't because her husband, who's a physician, is like, no, you shouldn't. You should just sit there. Sorry, I should also add, she was like a journalist, like a writer. So he wants to take everything away from her. No. I almost said no video games. Today's like no video games. What? Like no talking to anybody, no going downstairs unless he's with her, like no sewing, like not like you just sit there.
Because nature and socialization aren't helpful for mental health at all.
Yeah, right? Like, doesn't make any sense. But she the journal or the story is like her journal entries basically.
Mm-hmm.
So she starts like sitting in the room for days at a time, and she's like, the yellow wallpaper is disgusting, but whatever, it's just for a little bit. And John, her husband, says it is best for me. And then eventually she starts to hallucinate. Yeah, so like the patterns in the wallpaper begin to move because she's been there forever. And then further into the story, she like stops eating, stops sleeping, and just studies the wallpaper. And then she sees creeping women in the wallpaper.
Creeping
Women. Like the pattern is shifting and like looks like women now because she's hallucinating. So from there, it is now not her goal to get out of the room, it's to get the women out of the wallpaper.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's crazy. So she like rips the paper off and stuff, and she locks everybody else out of the room. So John, at the end of the story, John's like beating on the door. She's like, I threw the key downstairs so you can go get it, and you'll never put me back in the wallpaper, because she has like now made herself one of the women that were trapped in the wallpaper.
I forgot about that.
It's insane. Yeah. So he goes and gets a key, and he just like walks in and faints because he's just like, what happened? I thought you were getting better. Like, I thought this was good for you, and I've actually driven you like more insane than before.
Yeah. I think that the story also speaks to like mental health and like the lack of education on like postpartum depression and things like that too.
And also like, not to sound like rude, because it's not like this for everybody, but like lack of validation from men for postpartum depression. They're like, oh, you're just sad. Don't be sad. It's like,
it almost has a little like feminist undertone to it. For sure.
Yeah.
It's like, it's real, like the story is studied very heavily in feminist literature.
Yeah, I can understand why.
Yeah.
Like a lack of understanding, like, I mean, back in, I don't know, like 1700s, 1800s, you know, when women were emotional, they just called it hysteria.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you're a lunatic because you cried today. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
You're a witch because you can write music. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think it's a strong story to, you know, for a female composer to compose a piece on a story like this as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never heard this story. Do you know who wrote it?
The story, or like the piece?
The story.
The story was Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's hard to say. I always want to say, like, just like the whole Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tongue twister.
Do you know if she has other stories that she's written?
I'm not sure, honestly. I didn't know about it until this class. And then Dr. Lemson was like, you should go read the story. And I was like, okay. And then I read it. And I was like, oh. Because, like,
it's heavy.
Yeah. And, like, in my undergrad, whenever I was trying to learn this piece, I didn't get to do it because of COVID, sadly. But whenever I was, like, learning the piece, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, I just got to act like a mad woman. And then now that I've, like, read the story, I have a way deeper understanding of, like, what's happening. Like, I can listen to this piece and know, like, picture exactly what's happening in the story. It's nuts. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that if you played it now, it'd be different?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I was like part of percussion is like the visual aspect, right, that we have to do. So I was like, you know, just acting like I was a straight up lunatic, but like now I'd act more like frantic. And like what I would do musically is almost the complete opposite of what I was doing back then.
Yeah.
So it's really opened my eyes. I didn't think that it would be able to, like,
Yeah.
as much as it has.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even think about, like, you can come at this performance of this piece in so many different ways. Like if you were a woman who had a child, or a woman who went through postpartum depression.
Yeah.
Or even, you know, because that wasn't a very emotionally abusive relationship in the story, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Like you can come at it from so many different emotional angles.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very like, I got angry reading the story because I was like, John does not know what's best for his wife. Like, he is not in her head.
No. Yeah, that and doctors at the time don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and it was also like, I think like in the story it says something along the lines of like, I'm the doctor, I know what I'm doing. And I was like, no, stop it.
How about just give her a hug and tell her it's going to be okay?
Take her for a walk in the garden. And, like, get her out of the yellow wallpaper room.
Sometimes you just need someone to be there for you. You don't need to be locked away.
Yeah, and like she didn't get to see her kid. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, I was like, where's the child during all that?
Oh yeah. Okay, so John's sister and another woman like came to be like the housekeeper and like the babysitter basically, which is funny because in feminist literature it's also like, because the narrator is down this way, it feels like those two women are like taking the roles as her position in society as a woman. So then she also feels like worse about that. So it's like, John, you're not helping.
I could be remembering the story wrong, but doesn't he like kill her, or does she die, or
So the way that the story ends is that she's just pacing the room and like like sludging, is that a word? Like laying on the wall and walking at the same time because she's ripped the whole paper off. He faints and she just walks over him.
And that's how it ends. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope that she doesn't die.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the ending of the
It's a
story.
whole different story.
No, I mean,
Makes it
it's
creepier.
still very.
Oh yeah.
I almost don't think it's creepy. I think it's just very sad because I
It
could
is.
see something like that almost happening in a way, not to that like extent of like you think you're a part of wallpaper,
Yeah.
but to the same extent that mental health in women was so misunderstood and not scientifically explored, or it was just assuming, oh, you're just emotional because you're a woman.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot in this class, and it's like, female composers or conductors or like really anybody who is associated as a non-male and tries to do anything in music. It's like, oh, you're very emotional. Like, I don't think that you should be able to have this, this role because you're emotional. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that's not true.
And then if you're not emotional enough, they think you're a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very true. It's like, how do we find the happy medium? And also, like, who are we trying to like make happy other than ourselves?
Yeah.
Like, why do we have to play the nice game?
That's so true.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
But back on
Sorry.
on a less depressing topic. I mean, it's important to talk about. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something I feel like I've talked about a good amount off air too, like off the podcast.
Yep, definitely.
It's okay to be pissed off as a woman.
Our emotions are valid. We will not be
yes,
locked up in a
exactly.
yellow wallpapered room.
Well, yes. But you're coming back to it. You're going to learn it and record it again. Or
Yeah.
you're learning it and you're going to record it.
Yes.
Do you find yourself like playing it differently as well? Like, what part of the story this, measure is in. So
I
you're
do,
approaching
yeah.
it differently.
Yeah, and sometimes I am working on like a section and I hear it as like this emotion, or like I can picture her like doing this, but I can't like play it that way, and I get frustrated. And I'm like, why is it different like to perform it than it is to like listen to it and think about it and like picture it in your head? Like, where is the disconnect?
Yeah.
That wasn't your question.
No. Yeah. No, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just really cool. I really want to like watch you perform it now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wanting to put this on I am here for another 3 years probably.
Doctorate crew. Woohoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll probably be on one of my recitals.
Very
for sure.
nice.
I'm
Yes.
excited.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And I feel like visually, it's almost like you need to see a visual is what I would think.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I saw somebody play this without any kind of visual aspects.
Probably
I was
boring.
like, this is lame.
Yeah, I could see that.
Don't play this anymore. But then I also saw somebody who does like kind of like what Bella does with the
Immersive design.
Yeah, immersive design, and it was like too much. It like took away from the story,
Mm.
and I was like, okay,
That's interesting.
yeah. Like I try to see myself as the character, like as the narrator whenever I play it.
It could work like if immersive design, if you put like yellow.
wallpaper.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
That specific one was just like too like
It'd have to be simple.
yeah, it was just very like artsy fartsy, and like what I would imagine walking into like the largest church in the world that has like, Jesus, whoa, that kind of stuff. And it's like, this is too much energy for this piece. Like,
Oh, yeah.
we are not trying to be lively here.
Yeah. Awesome. Can you walk us through some of the analysis of your paper?
Yeah, since it's a theory class.
Yeah. So I did a narrative analysis, kind of like Alexis, but like I went deeper into it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did to begin with is I read the story and I kind of like connected like what Alexis said in the piece, because there's spoken word in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went through and I was like, okay, the narrator is talking about the yellow wallpaper. The narrator is like mentioning stuff like just to take note of about her mental health. The narrator is talking about the women in the wallpaper. So then I went through each section of the piece and I kind of like related it back to my highlighted point. I'm a very visual person, so I like related it back to the highlighted sections in the story, and that helped me get like a better idea. So most of this piece, like the way that I would explain it, is like an uneasy feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I try to take the piece and figure out like the emotions behind it and like what musically is making it feel that way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like lots of minor seconds, lots of disgusting chords. I was like, I don't even know what this is. I'm not going to analyze this one
Like
chord.
a cluster chord.
Yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
disgusting. It's just lots of weird rhythms. Like, and whenever she means these rhythms, and it's like, how am I supposed to count this? But she like wants it that exact way because it's supposed to sound super frantic. Yeah, lots of like leading tones. Like there's only one spot in here where it like resolves to the tonic. Like it's very uneasy and very like unsettling. So
Yeah.
So you gave us some examples.
You want to tell us what we're listening to?
yeah,
after?
that'd be
All right, here. Let me pull it up. This is, you said it was like measure 15, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So y'all are going to hear like a couple measures of, you can tell me when you want me to stop as well.
Okay. There's something strange about this house. I can feel it. Okay, so like that was like the first section, and it was like the first idea or the first like time that we see her. I imagine it like approaching this house, and it like looks fine because it's like, you know, all these pretty melodies, but then that section measure 15 through 24, it's like, you know, the first like disgusting chord, and there's all sorts of like chromaticism and grace notes that like have like this playful little hinting like, ugh, you know. And it gets like super intense, and then it's interrupted by the door knocking. So like I imagined that like she's walking up to the door and she's like excited, but she's also nervous because she has this condition. And then it's like her thoughts are like interrupted by the door knock.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Tight.
All right, so we have example number 2 coming at you.
One of those sprawling flamboyant patterns, committing every artistic sin. So this is like after the first time that she's like seen the yellow wallpaper, like she sees the garden and the house and like how beautiful it is, right? Like what I mentioned earlier. And then she walks in this room with disgusting wallpaper, and she's like taken away by it. So it says, I never saw worse paper in my life. So like that's a pretty bold statement, and it's backed up by all of these cluster chords, and there's tons of chromaticism in this section, and the odd rhythms, it's dotted eighth notes, so just more unsettled. And then we have minor seconds introduced for the first time that leads into the phrase, one of those sprawling flamboyant patterns committing every artistic sin. Like it's like the words in this piece,
That's like extreme.
yeah, just like punch in the face. So in that section that the performer, words are hard, is like saying these, you have a 7/8 measure, a 2/4 measure, a 9/8 measure, and then a 4/4 measure. And the pattern that you're playing is you're supposed to say the words at that time, but then in between each of the each of those measures, you have like this little interruption of like a jazzy like grace note thing. So in my head, I saw that as like she's like super angry at the wallpaper, and then like some like John or somebody like walks up behind her, so she's like, oh, I have to be kind, because she's like worried about others more than like her mental state right then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then so it happens a couple times, and then like as it happens more often, the chords of the grace note pattern get like more disgusting, and then you're left with just like this calm, like the mind begins to settle, and she's like irritated by it, but she's like it's just for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I can definitely hear the tension in the chords,
Right.
for sure. I think it's meant to make you feel unsettled.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
I love how you keep saying they're disgusting chords.
Like that's the only way that there's just like they're nasty. I don't want to
Nasty
listen to them,
chords.
but also like it would be so weird without them.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
disgusting.
imagine the story on top of like some super tonal melody.
Yeah, right. Like let's listen to this pretty thing.
That'd be some kind of other crazy, I feel like, you know?
Yeah.
I'm going crazy, and you're like, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun. I don't know. I'm picturing like Mozart in the
LOL.
background.
Mozart had some crazy things. Maybe like that, not that, but
That's true, yeah.
For his time, they were crazy.
it's true.
All right. The last example I have here, I think it's like where we just left off.
So this is like one of the very few sections in this entire piece that is like the listeners can like take a breath. Like all of this tension would like you had so much tension, so many words just thrown at you, and then like the first time I listened to it, I literally was like, like shoulders just like slouched, and I was like, oh nice. But then it hits you with like the crazy rhythms and the crazy chords, disgusting chords again. So I'll just read some of the excerpts from it. So it says, I'm really getting quite fond of the big room, but all that horrid paper. The pattern lulls like a broken neck, and two bulbous eyes stare you upside down. I never saw so much expression in an inanimate object. I'm getting really fond of the room in spite of the wallpaper, perhaps because of the wallpaper.
The first moment of crazy.
Yeah, like it's like, whoa. It's so heavy, but it's like the way that the section starts out is so light, and then it just like turns for the worse so quickly. It's insane.
Yeah, let's listen to it.
Yeah. I'm really getting quite fond of the big room. But all that horrid paper. The pattern lolls like a broken neck, and two bulbous eyes stare at you upside down. I never saw so much expression in an inanimate object. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's just so like on the edge of your seat kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to like practice how you said it?
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of times, like the way that I talk right now is really like the way that I try to talk about things in music, which sucks. I'm just not like a very animated person, I guess. I'm just very to the point. So I really had to like think about how to sound. I don't want to say like sound crazy because that's very insensitive, but literally like how to sound like, you know, on edge.
You're going through it, yeah.
Yeah. But like without making a big stink about it. Does that make sense? Like
Almost like an actor.
yeah, like I had to take a couple acting, like not classes, but like lessons from some people, like, you know, Audra. She had a friend, maybe professor, I don't remember, in our undergrad, and I got in touch with them, and I was like, I need help like figuring out how to not sound stupid. So
That's funny.
so like not only like sounding dumb, but like also like looking dumb, and making sure that like the way that I look as I'm speaking and playing all fits together cohesively. It's really difficult because you also have to hit right notes.
Oh yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, because it's not an easy piece. You can tell just by
No.
listening to it, and then having to speak and convincingly speak
Yeah.
these really intense words.
And like your facial expressions are a thing, and like
body movements even.
yeah, like my facial expression is just like all the time, so I have to like not smile or like not like,
Yeah.
you know, look stupid.
Especially in those harder things you're doing.
Yeah, it's like I just really want to cry right now.
Oh.
And you're one of the instruments, like
Yeah.
literally your
Yeah.
face,
Yeah.
your body, your voice.
It's great, and like our implements too.
Yeah.
like, making sure that it doesn't like look stupid as we're moving,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
or changing mallets or whatever if you choose to change mallets,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
That's stuff I would never have thought about, but
Very rehearsed.
yeah,
It
it's
has
like a
to be very
whole
rehearsed.
production almost.
Literally, you're a one-man band.
It's kind of like how singers, when they sing something, they always like get into character.
Yeah, the gestures.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's not a very long piece, is it?
No, it's like 6 minutes.
Okay. Because I'm picturing like a 20-minute piece, and like that would be a roller coaster of emotion.
No, but I mean, like it is like every time I listen to it, I'm just like I'm so tired afterwards. Especially like relating it back to the story now, because I'm like, wow, the emotional roller coaster I just went through. You know?
Yeah.
So how would you program a piece like this? Like, would you put it last on the program or first on the program? Because I feel like with such like a heavy content, like
I would personally probably put this like in the middle.
That's what I was thinking.
So like
too.
you have like let's say if I were doing like a solo recital, I would do like snare drum first, right? And then like I don't know, something else, and then like this piece that's new, it's going to get the audience re-engaged because let's face it, snare drum is not that engaging.
hot take.
Right. So it's going to get them like re-engaged, and then like you end with something like Bach or like another ensemble piece or something. Like it's just like like a good cleansing piece, which is ironic because it's not a very cleansing,
No, but yeah, it is.
you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's an interesting take.
Do you think pieces like this, the yellow wallpaper, there should be more pieces like this written in this kind of style? I know there are pieces in the past where it takes away from like poems and stories and all that kind of stuff, but pieces like this, when it's very like animated, I know it's a very big percussion thing, but do you see it happening more in ensembles, more in just like works in general?
I wish that it would. Something that I'm like really passionate about is like the animation of pieces and like really drawing the audience in. So like I can straight up play a snare drum. It can be a new music. I can yell at you or whatever. But if I get my body involved and like tell you a story or make a story for the audience, like it's gonna be like way more rewarding for them and for me. So I think that pieces like this are really good for like any kind of literature. Literature? Is that the word?
Sure, yeah.
That works.
Repertoire.
Yeah.
Literature.
Yeah.
I like it, yeah.
And how would you play? I feel like with this kind of piece, because even you said like when you dove into it and analyzed it, like you approached it as a performer from a totally new angle.
Yeah.
So I would think that with audiences that are non-musicians, that to get like the full impact, they almost need to understand like the story behind it, what's going into it. Like how would you recommend like expressing that to an audience? Like how do you convey that? Like do you like program notes? Would you like talk about it first? Like what do you think? How do you think you can handle this kind of like material and so like the full impact of the music so the audience can experience the full impact of it?
So something about my personality is that on the inside I'm just like a bubble like waiting to burst. I have so many ideas, I have so much excitement, and then I like go to do it and I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of shy though. Like so I would probably honestly do program notes, but if I ever get out of like the hi, my name is Darci and like, what's up, I'm Darci, I would probably, it's a good question. I would really want to get like really creative because this is a really creative piece. So I would either like tell like a summary of the story beforehand, or I would make like a film to go with it, and, like as I'm playing.
I'm surprised there's not a
You know
film
what I'm
already about this story.
There is.
There is?
Wait, really?
Yeah, like on
Oh.
YouTube. It's like a 20-minute film, but I watched
Really?
so many of them, and I even told Dr. Lumsden, I was like, I watched these, and she was like, don't watch any more before you go to bed. She was like, they are too intense. Like one of them is from like the 1940s, so it's not good, but one of them is from 2011, which is pretty good.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I actually want to watch it now.
Yes.
you
Same.
should. And it's like 20 minutes. Like they're not very long.
Yeah, it's like a little short film.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Did they use the piece in the movie?
No, they didn't use the piece.
Missed opportunity.
I know,
They
right?
should've, yeah. I guess it doesn't tell the exact whole story, but still.
Yeah. It like, and that's another thing, like whenever I was doing this analysis, like because we could only pick like 3 examples, I found like it was so hard for me to choose examples because I was just like, I want to tell you the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like let me just talk to you for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how does it end?
The piece. So
Like
she,
the playing or the music side.
so the narrator in the story was pacing, like I said earlier. So the way that Alexis brought this idea back full circle was that she started with the original theme of the piece, but then put a lot of chromaticism in it, and it just slowly kind of like dies away, like both like the rhythm and like the notes, like it goes from like 4 notes to like 3 to 2 and then to 1, and it ends on like dotted whole notes, or like just this obscure long note of leading tone. So like it still doesn't feel resolved at the end of the piece. It's really
because the
interesting.
story is kind of unresolved too.
Yeah, it's like I can literally like see her like walking, like the final note is the step over John kind of situation, like on the floor. It's really crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah.
How would you recommend? Because I feel like it's music like this that makes me want to, quote unquote, expand the classical canon.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say this is standard repertoire.
It's
I don't know if
definitely
it
not.
is for percussionists, but I feel like so much new music, and there's music outside the classical canon that has the opportunity to be really impactful for listeners. And, we talked about how there's like feminist undertones that can be really educational for a lot of people to like learn about these stories and learn about like the pain that's behind them.
Yeah.
How would you, in your, professional opinion, go about like trying to introduce music like this?
So as like, do you mean as a performer or as a teacher?
Either one.
Okay, so as a performer, that's a sticky situation because like you never want to offend anybody in your audience, even though sometimes it does happen. So most of the times before I actually play a performance, I'm like, feel free to like after the performance come up and talk to me, tell me if you're mad, tell me if you're sad, tell me if you're like really liked it.
I like that though.
I want to talk to them, because it's like they can explain to me why they didn't or did like it, and then I can like
have a conversation.
Yeah, just straight up have a conversation.
Yeah. I'm trying to make Hero like that too.
Yeah, just very approachable. Like I always want to be approachable to people, and especially like as a woman in music and in percussion, I don't want to be, not that I'm saying that there are, but like I don't want to be a snooty percussionist that's a female, because then it's like I'm kind of ruining the track for everybody who's worked hard to get us here. Because there are like none of us, there are very few women in percussion in the professional world.
And I think I read an interesting fact somewhere that like in the major orchestras in the States, there are no female timpani players in the major orchestras.
I believe it. Yeah. There, like in my hometown, there's one, and she's originally from Japan. I don't remember where, or maybe she studied in Japan. But she, oh my God, she is the reason that I want to play timpani and USO so much. It's just like she drives the orchestra. Like, yes.
Yeah, and music like this, I feel like can encourage a lot more.
Yeah, and that's always my hope is that like,
women.
I like. I don't want to be like famous, but I want to like put stuff on YouTube, like so people that came from places that I grew up, like one stoplight towns can see that and be like, oh, I want to do that too,
Yeah.
So yeah, like as a performer, I would probably to wrap it back. I would probably like invite people on stage afterwards, like just straight up have a conversation with them. As a teacher, it's hard to introduce stuff like this because not everybody's going to like the new music route. Like some people are going to straight up like just the orchestral stuff or like
true.
elementary education or whatever, right? So it's like you have to kind of let them find it on their own. Like you can show them and be like, oh, like look at this piece that I worked on, and like talked about this, and they're like, oh, that's cool. They're like, what do you mean? Like you kind of have to like gauge it, like,
or like have them listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like be there with them. Or like introduce them to that kind of like idea and then send them other stuff to look at on their own. Like I don't think pushing, like you have to play this piece. Like, no, I don't want to play this piece.
For my pedagogy, I would want my student in whatever 4-year span, 5-year or whatever, to play like at least one new work. Like that's a requirement, like one new work. And if you hate it, like we'll never do it again. But I think like just idea. Like performing and experiencing doing it, even if you hate it so much, or even just like etude that's more, newer, just doing something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes you don't know if you like or love something until you try it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't think that I was gonna like this piece whenever I was trying it because I was like, this is stupid. I feel dumb. I don't want to talk
disgusting
like this.
chords.
Yeah, like why are these chords not major?
Oh well.
And I think one of my last questions, kind of after like listening to it and talking to you about it, because the recording that you sent us, there's a male performer.
Yes.
Do you think there's a difference when a male performs it versus a woman?
I don't know if it's because I'm being biased and Ryan is one of my best friends.
Yeah.
But I honestly, like his performance of it was like my favorite that I've seen so far. Ryan's is just like very, I keep saying tasteful, but it was very tasteful. Like it wasn't too over the edge. It wasn't like too hard to understand anything. Like he visually represented what the narrator was doing and like what I was thinking about. And maybe it's just because like, we came from FSU. Yeah. And it's like we kind of both play that way for Dr. P.
Kind of like a similar style.
Yeah, maybe. And like, I mean, like Alexis, like her video was very innovative. Like it really was. She was I think a junior or senior recital. And she wrote this piece. I don't know if it was for that, but during that time.
She was an undergrad?
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it this, like, wow. It's so crazy.
It's not fair.
I know. Sounds like a beast.
Yeah.
I know.
Absolutely nuts. But it was just like, cool. It was like a little bit too aggressive for what I was thinking of for the narrator. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And that also goes to show like how everyone can interpret it so differently.
Yeah.
Like your experience, like everyone has their own experiences, like mental health and their strife with like their emotions. And you can definitely like explore that and I feel like express that in this kind of piece.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if it would be different if I were a mother, you know? Like if I like had like, you know, a child.
Or father, like if a man played it.
Definitely, I don't. But
well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I wonder if it's like you think about the kid more than the narrator, and then you try to like, it's like, how does the kid feel about this?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, or if you had a partner going through postpartum. I think this could offer a lot of like cool opportunities for men to explore
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Share in like the female experience a little bit.
Thanks for sharing this piece with us.
Yeah, thank you guys for
Such a cool
listening.
piece.
So everyone needs to go check out Alexis Lamb
Yes.
now and check out the yellow wallpaper.
It's so crazy. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, we'll link a recording to it in our notes for the podcast. So if y'all want to check it out and listen to the rest of the piece.
Check out Darci too.
Oh, yeah.
She's got some
Thanks.
videos up there.
Mhm. Yeah.
The few.
So do you want to drop your Instagram or YouTube or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram, I think, is Darci Wright .percussion.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure.
Right with the W.
Right with a W. And Darcy with an I.
Oh yeah. So true. It's so true.
I had somebody spell my name Darsy the other day, and I was like, you got that really wrong. Like, it was like on my Facebook wallpaper, or like, what is it? Facebook
Feed
page.
or-
Yeah.
And I was like, it's right there. What are you doing?
That's so funny.
Though I have
But-
to admit, the first time I met you, I was like Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, no, Mr. Darcy. I get that.
Aw.
I still haven't seen that movie. I know.
Or not even, or have you
It's such a
read
good
the
one.
book?
It's so
I
good.
love the book.
I know. I need
So
to
I'm a
watch
Jane
it.
Austen fan
Mm.
through and through.
You and Audra would go like this. She loves it.
Yeah, I really like Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
And for Jane Austen, she's her own like feminist out, you know.
Ah, yes.
So
we love it. Write a piece about it.
yeah. And before we get to the trivia, I just want everyone to know that we will not be releasing any podcasts during the Christmas break coming up. We'll still have some podcast episodes before then, but heads up about that. We'll be taking a little week or two break off and let y'all enjoy the holidays as well.
Yes.
And also feel free to reach out to us with any questions or want to share a story on our socials or on our website. You can find us at hero.musicians on Instagram, where we have most of our up-to-date information. And we also have our website, www.her-omusic.com. And I've practiced that. Can you tell?
I like it.
Yes. So you can find all our information about Hero and our upcoming events and about the Hero Conference in May.
Woo.
So please just reach out to us at any time. We want to offer a safe and welcoming space for us to all talk about and anything and everything women in music and expanding the classical canon and inviting new music into our lives. And we're glad that you were here to talk to us about it, Darcy.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you.
having me.
Yes,
It's fun.
and now to end on our fun note, we have trivia. You can't escape it.
Okay, I'm excited.
It's you were like, wait, we're doing trivia. I was like, yes, of course we are.
Yay.
So
Ooh.
yeah, I should have let you click the button too.
Those are some nice wind chimes.
You should have brought one. The
I
percussionist should have brought one.
The real deal.
Yeah. All right. Should I start with Angela? Should I start with Darcy? Who wants to go under the gun first?
Darcy does.
All right.
All
sounds
right.
good.
Okay. This is my percussionist question.
Oh, yay.
Let's see if I can.
I hope I get it right.
see if I can try.
Fingers
All right.
crossed.
Which country does not recognize the marimba as its national instrument? And you got multiple choice.
Oh, thank God.
Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras, Guatemala. Which one does not recognize it as its national instrument?
Can you read the
countries
options?
again?
Yeah, sorry.
Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras, Guatemala.
I'm going to go with B.
Costa Rica?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Dang, sad.
It's actually Honduras.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so there some of the countries, including Mexico, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Nicaragua is another one.
Uh-huh.
So marimba is a national instrument for a number of countries apparently.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
All right, now because I know you're a listener of the podcast,
I am. Oh,
so I'm gonna take us all the way back to episode 1.
okay.
All right, so I mentioned in a trivia question for Angela
All right.
a soloist named Jasmine Choi.
Okay.
Do you remember this question?
I do.
Yeah. So the question revolved the question was that I asked Angela, who is not a violin soloist?
Okay.
And Jasmine Choi was not a violin soloist.
Okay.
Do you remember what her instrument was?
Flute.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Pamela is my roommate, so she talks about Jasmine Choi a lot.
oh
She was a
let's go.
flute player.
Okay.
I thought I was going to trip you up.
Nice.
Hey, you got me with my own instrument question, though. I should get bonus points for you.
Sure. Okay, now you got to have a violin question.
Okay.
All right. So Also, I don't think I asked Angela this one. What is the most common wood used to make violin bows?
Bows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we talked about
Are
that.
there options?
I'm just gonna make up wood names off.
Okay.
So, cedar,
Make up wood names.
oak, parambuku, or this is how you know it's not this one because I'm trying to think.
I
of
already know what it is now because some of them are like one of them is obscure and
Maple.
the others are.
Well, maple is used for things.
Wait, cedar, oak. What was the other one?
Parambuku.
I don't even know what that is. That sounds like a fruit. I'm gonna go with cedar. No, I'm gonna go with oak. I don't know. I'm gonna go with option D.
It's the parambuku one.
I
was
knew
like,
it was. That's so
What?
obscure. She said oak pambuku.
I thought I made that really obvious.
What
because
even is that?
it's a type of wood from South America.
That's amazing.
That's
It's
funny.
actually I know that there's some bow makers who are experimenting with different types of wood because it is an endangered type of wood.
That's how it is for our marimbas too. We use rosewood for everything,
Mhm.
and like they used to make rosewood snare drum sticks, and
Mhm.
they immediately were like, no, because we're running out of wood to make the instruments.
Yeah,
Mm.
Okay.
parambuku wood
Mhm, I
works
heard
really
that.
well on violin bows, and I know that that's something that some makers are looking into trying to get out of.
Yeah.
Which there is a lot of people using like carbon fiber bows.
Mhm.
I have a backup bow that's carbon fiber that I used for years before I found my favorite bow, which is made of parambuku wood. It is a rarer type of wood. But fun fact about that.
What makes it like so much nicer to play or to hold?
I've looked it up.
graze?
Dude, I don't know.
And it's because of its density of the bow.
like it's
It
not so
makes it
light.
easier to hold.
Well, every bow is like a different weight, just a little bit.
Okay.
And no bow, unless it's carbon fiber, is exactly the same.
It's like handmade.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
And they actually have like scales for bows, and they like show like the exact weight, like where because the weight is different at the frog, which is past trivia question,
Yeah.
where you hold it, the middle, the balance point, and at the tip.
Mm-hmm.
The weight changes throughout that, and also like where its balance point falls is like really important because that's where we bounce the bow.
Oh.
So the balance point is where you can get a lot of that bounce when we have like spiccato and sautier strokes.
Nice. Okay.
So all these fancy words about bow strokes,
Hey,
but
I took string methods back in the day.
oh, look at you! But that's why the wood has to be like really reactive, and some people like heavier bows or lighter bows. Mine are kind of like in the middle. Though I have
Nice.
one really heavy bow that I use for like fiddling
Nice.
when I want to like sound a little crunchy.
Yeah. A little girdy.
Yeah, for sure. But that bow was like $50. My parambuku one was not $50.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
All right, now Angela.
Woo! My ears.
All right, so we got our music history question for women. So it's on Clara Schumann, another favorite of mine. How many works did Clara Schumann compose? And I gave you multiple choice. Don't worry.
Thank you.
23, 49, 66, 112.
Are these like known works that she's written or like?
It's based on her compiled discography.
Okay. Oh boy, I think it's
So you got really low to really high.
I
and
want to
then-
say it's really high in 112. So I'm gonna say that. I know it's not because you're making a face, but maybe that's okay. I don't have the
I
headphones on.
really enjoy the asking trivia questions. If you can
Yeah.
tell.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Gotta get that.
It's actually 66.
66.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Half of that, kind of. Dang.
Kind of.
Not really, but whatever. All right.
Close enough.
Question number 2. All right. Roughly, how long is the Brahms violin concerto? Because it is known as, it was like the first violin concerto that was like substantially long. Okay. All violinists know that it's a long concerto.
Good thing I'm a violinist. This is good.
It's your violin question, okay? So I gave you multiple choice
Okay.
of minutes. All right, these are the minutes. So either is it 23, 40, 32, or 50?
It's definitely not 23. It's definitely not 30 something. I'm going between 40 and 50. Those are rough numbers. I'm gonna go. Well, if it's known the longest, and normally a concerto is 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah. When it was composed, it was like the longest period.
when it was composed.
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
I don't know if there's probably something out there that's longer at this point.
Fair enough. Okay, so it makes me think it's not 50. I'm gonna go 44.
Nice.
Yeah,
Let's
I said
go.
40, but there's a range between like 40 to 45.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were even closer
Let's go.
by saying 44.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Nice.
Nice
Let's
job.
go.
Okay, now, which of these listed string quartets that I'll give you multiple
Thank you.
choice is not a real string quartet?
Okay.
Because there are some fun names out there for string quartets.
Hello.
For sure.
All right, the Ying Quartet, the Jupiter Quartet, the Emerson Quartet, or the Antonio Quartet. Which one is not real?
They all sound real. Are these famous quartets?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know?
It's kind of a string question.
Oh, definitely.
actually-
Not kinda.
Well, I actually had to, like, when I was making this trivia question, I was trying to make up a name, and some of them were real, and I was like, damn it.
To the drawing board.
Okay. The Emerson, the Jupiter, there's something else, and there's something else. What were the other two?
So it was Ying, Jupiter, Emerson, Antonio. Which one's not a real string quartet name, as that I know of, or that Google knows of?
I feel like the name ones are real. Emerson and Antonio. Ying and Jupiter. Ying could be a name as well, of course. Jupiter.
I love watching her.
You
think
guys
it
don't
out.
really-
Goes into it.
That sounds like a host kind of thing, which isn't really a string thing.
And also like Jupiter, like the brass instruments.
It's true. They're Jupiter strings.
Oh, are there?
Why?
I'm not gonna help you.
What is this? Well, I really don't know, so I'm just gonna say Jupiter. Yeah. I figured.
Was it Antonio?
It was.
Antonio.
Look at you.
I didn't know it was Antonio.
I didn't, but the
Oh.
way I was like, I feel like the other three are like a little bit higher up on the list.
Yeah,
And
Ying
Antonio was,
Quartet
like,
is like a
very specific.
huge deal. I've worked with them when I was at Bowdoin. Jupiter Quartet was also there.
Sorry,
They're
Jupiter.
they're a cool deal. So is the Emerson String Quartet.
Okay.
Are there Jupiter string instruments?
I don't know what that means. That's just
Like the
their-
brand
There's a brand.
Oh, that's a brand.
Yeah.
of brass
Well,
instruments?
since I didn't know about it, probably not.
Okay.
I don't know. I can Google it later.
Nice.
But
She's on it.
was it 1-1? Who won?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was 1-1.
Oh, damn it! I didn't think of a tiebreaker. Yeah, because you got 44, and you knew the answer to the
I got
violin
her
question.
question right. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
But
I'll say Darci won.
I'm
Awesome.
down with that. Good job, Darcy.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed your first
fun.
time doing trivia and
Yes.
talking on Hero Talk with us. Hopefully, we'll have you back sometime.
Yeah, thank
It's
you
fun
guys.
having a third person to talk
It
to.
is fun.
Aw,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah,
It's fun to
so
be on
Angela
here.
doesn't get sick of me.
True. No, I'm just kidding.
She said true.
All right. I'll
Heard.
see you at my chamber recital, Darcy.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, if anyone ever wants to ask us any questions or reach out with stories, personal stories, feel free. We would love
Yes.
to talk to you. Join the conversation. Let us know about any new pieces that you want to tell us about, or any pieces by female composers, or things that are being done in the world by women in music. We want to know about it. We want to talk about it. And thank you for listening, and give us 5 stars, and we'll see you next time.